Hello everyone, welcome to another beer review. Now today we're back on the Harveys. Gonna have beers that I got to review. So we're on to a kind of a, well, I'm not really sure what it's really classed as, the beer we're doing. It's says it's full malty palate and a bitterness to match. So today we're doing Harvey's Paine. Maybe a bit better to see. There we go. And it's a pale ale, so it's a dry hopped, robust pale ale named after the author of Rights of Man, who was an excise officer in Lewes between 1768 and 1774. So he wasn't exactly a bad age, you know what I mean? Especially in those days. He lived nearly all of 5 minutes. Seriously. You try to say. So, all right, you know what I mean? So he was in Lewes from 1768 to 1774. Doesn't mean that was how long he lived for. I'm a cheeky one. Anyway, the original release for Independence Day. It launched the concept of seasonal brews for 1 month only and celebrated independent brewers. There we go. So it's 5.5%, it's 500ml, and that's it. There's no other kind of spill in the bottle. Thank God. So there you go, man. Absolutely knackered. After coming back from Lanzarote and then I've been rushing about, been down in Devon, been visiting my sister and things like that, oldest one, and then finally getting back up to Scotland because my birthday's in the next couple of days, so I'll be totally honest. Be glad when it's all over. I can just stop. But the problem is next month, it's the end of May now, so next month is the case, is just at the kind of start of the month. It's also our anniversary, so we're away for that, and I'm like, in the name of God, seriously, can I not just stop? Absolutely sick of travelling and going here and going there. You know, I don't mind going to places because I have to or I need to. I'm just not a big fan of going to places because other people want me to, you know, that type of thing. So anyway, let's cut this open and give it a pour. So yeah, oh. So yeah, we were watching the football a couple of nights back, and nice to see Spurs winning a trophy. I'm happy for them. I actually thought they would win. I said to my sister, I said, if Spurs actually turn up, then they should beat them. And surprisingly enough, they actually played more of a defensive game rather than the kind of Ange ball, as they kind of call it, that kind of gung-ho kind of play, which I think would be a bit of a dangerous game to play in the final. So I'm glad they kind of, bit of a boring final, let's be totally honest, not really much kind of football really being on show, but at the end of the day, they did score and they kept a clean sheet, so there you go. But it's good to see them actually win a trophy. Out of the two, I would rather have seen Tottenham win than Man United, because at least with Tottenham winning, it's going to be appreciated. It's actually going to mean something. To a lot of the United fans, winning the Europa League, well, they've still got delusions of grandeur. They haven't really kind of realised that they're a mediocre team now. And mediocre teams winning the kind of Europa League is wonderful. But their attitude would be, well, it should be the Champions League, we should be winning, not this Europa League, we shouldn't even be in that tournament, all that kind of stuff. So what's the point? So I'm glad they didn't actually win. And also I think it's a good thing because it might kind of get some of the Man United players a reality check and realise that, yeah, you might think you're Billy Big Balls and, you know, absolutely wonderful and fabulous. But let's be totally honest, the performance tell a completely different story, and you're overpaid, overpriced, and well overrated. You know. So yeah, but yeah, so that was quite good. Game notes are good, but the result was good, so that was quite good. So and then of course then we've got the Champions League coming up. Is it tomorrow? It might be tomorrow. Oh, that'll be good. That's PSG versus Inter. Oh, I think PSG's got that one wrapped up. I think that's going to be an easy one for them. Just letting this beer settle. It actually looks not too bad. It's like a bit of a darker one for pale ale. It says not so pale. Well, there you go. Eh? Anything's possible in the beer world nowadays. Anything's possible, you know what I mean? I don't even know what gender this one is, you know. I'm trying to ask in case I make a mistake and, you know, I might dead name it or something, you know. It's embarrassing the thought of that happening. I don't think I could ever get over that. Yeah. Well, Hoppy Pale Ale, but doesn't look like a pale ale. Looks more like an amber ale or better, but anyway. What do I know? Smell wise? A little bit of floralness, but mostly malt. Just kind of light malt, light kind of caramel. I'm getting maybe a little hint of toffee, but very light kind of floral, and again, not enough to kind of maybe identify. Just a kind of generic floralness, so there you go. So why is this classed as a pale ale? Strange enough, the last beer we did from the Harvey's range was the bitter that wasn't a bitter, it was an amber ale, and now we've got a Hoppy Pale Ale that looks like an amber ale. I'm maybe starting to see a trend here with the Harvey Brewery. Doesn't matter. I mean, I've got a dark mild and a porter still to come. I wonder what colour they're going to be. Seriously. Oh, this place is absolutely mad. This world is absolutely mad, and the beer industry is absolutely mad as well. It really is. Yeah, there's been a few kind of changes in the beer world recently. So they'll have ex-Moore Brewery. They are now passing on production to the Hogsback Brewery. So they're struggling to continue under the present system. So they're going to get their brewing done by proxy. So I think the head brewer's actually going to be over at the Hogsback Brewery that's going to oversee the brewing of their beers compared to that wonderful range that the Hogsback Brewery does with their king of all beers, Tum Tea, which is, remember I reviewed it and I thought, it's a load of piss. And it is a load of piss. It's just a very poor ale that's well overhyped, especially in the bottle. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Although I did pop in to see them, and they did say that, well, they're just kind of reorganising everything just now and reorganising their offices, and the staff just kind of helping get a lot of things sorted out. So at that time, the shop, the on-site shop, is going to be available, and they're still working with their own stock just now. They haven't brought any stock over yet from the Hogsback Brewery. So once they've got the shop, I think I'm back down next week to Devon, back end of next week. So what I'll do is I'll pop into the ex-Moore Brewery and I'll get some beers to review before it changes, and I might even get some later on just to see if there's any differences. But I'll also maybe get some for John Morris, because I think he was interested in trying some, so I'll get some for John, who donates beer to me, so I'll donate beers back to him. So yeah, hopefully by that point I'll have their kind of shop kind of sorted out on site, and I'll go in and see what I can get and find out, is it from their original stock or is this stuff coming from Hogsback? Because I'd rather get the original stuff first. I've done some in the past, but what I might do is just revisit and do it all, as many as I can get, and just see what it's like before, because you never know. this situation might worsen and they might go under completely. So these beers might be lost. So you don't know. So we'll have to kind of see what happens with that. But some other kind of not so kind of great news as well. A lot of the festivals I've been reading up on, a lot of them are scaling back the size of the festivals because they feel that there's just not enough people attending now that's drinking beer. Yeah, there's plenty of people that turn up, but a lot of them are drinking cider and a lot of them are drinking gin and everything else. And the beer drinking numbers is actually reducing. So well done, camera, because they're doing a great thing of basically trying to kind of prop up the traditional real ale industry, and I've got to admit that when you go to some of these festivals, they're definitely doing all they can for the pale ales and the IPAs that are brewed in the UK. Maybe not so much of the more traditional style beers, but by God, they're working hand over fist to make sure that pale ale and IPA is the only option. We don't the only the beer that is going to be saved by them. There you go, marvellous. Oh, somebody's tooting outside. That's lovely. Look, got a horn. I had the horn once. Took a tablet for it. A hot bath, went away. Lovely. Yes. So there's that, and I noticed that the craft beer channel, they're trying to get traditional ale kind of UNESCO protected, or give it UNESCO status or whatever it is, and I think they think that's going to basically save the real ale industry. Yeah. And, see if you get basically UNESCO accreditation, does that mean that you have to drink it, you're forced to drink it, or does all these kind of wasters, chancers and freeloaders in the UN, they drink it for you and they buy all the beer and just drink it? Is that what happens? Because I really don't see how basically getting any kind of UNESCO status is actually going to have any difference if people aren't buying the beer or drinking it. And if they're not buying it, that, like we've discussed in the past, there's plenty of reasons. Either they're not into beer, or they're into more craft beer and not into more of the traditional stuff, or they just aren't willing to pay the prices anymore, or they just feel that a lot of their favourite beers are either no longer available or the quality has gone down so much that they just don't think it's worth buying anymore. So take your pick, and I really don't see how a UNESCO kind of accreditation or award or whatever or status is going to change that. I really just don't. And it's not going to resurrect any of the good beers or any of the good breweries that we've lost in the past. So yeah, it's a lot of shit and bollocks, isn't it? Yeah. Well, at least let the deluded have a moment in the sun, as I call it, the Icarus moment, Yeah. Anyway, so we see what this tastes like. You're not going to believe this. Yeah, I think you know where I'm going to go with this. But the dry hopped robust pale ale actually tastes more like the bitter than the Sussex Best did. This actually has more profile flavours of a bitter. Yep. It tastes, to me, it doesn't taste like a pale ale, it tastes more like a bitter. It don't taste a heck of a lot more like a bitter than the Sussex Best bitter. Go figure that one. Oh, Jesus, this is just a crazy world. I mean, see, what the fuck are they playing at Harvey's Brewery? They just, is it a fucking lottery? Yeah. Did they pull it out and say, right, so under the Tom Paine label this month, what are we going to make? I'm going to make a bitter. All right then. Oh, yeah. And under the Sussex Best, Oh God, an amber ale again. Oh well, such is life. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's a fucking lottery going on there or something like that, or they're just throwing darts at a dartboard and see what they get, you know. Madness. Actually, it tastes actually quite nice, and but it's quite a nice lively pint, and yeah. Got a nice bit of malty sweetness. It's got a nice bit of floral. With the big tub. And yeah, you're getting a nice little bitter accent because it's a more of a hoppy beer. And yeah, you're getting a decent level of bitterness at the back end. And you're thinking, my goodness, malty, nice bit of sweetness, nice bit of floral, yeah, my goodness, and a nice little bit of bitterness at the back end. You think, well, if you want a bitter from Harvey's, then don't buy the bitter, buy the robust pale ale. Oh God, silly. I mean, is it me? I don't know, but is it me that I'm just kind of missing the point here? Maybe I'm the dinosaur. Maybe I don't understand that this is actually completely normal, and it's me that's the foolish one. Maybe that is. I mean, I've got no qualms if I turn out to be an idiot. I'm sure basically you'd answer a lot of questions from people that I've had run-ins in the past. I think, well, yeah, that adds up. You know what I mean? I thought he was a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? So there you go. But yeah, madness, absolutely madness. So it is. And then, which gets better, the wife and the youngest boy, they go away to Russia in mid-June. And I mean that because, of course, they can go over and see my mother-in-law and make sure she's okay and things like that, and you know, spend a bit of time with her and things like that, which is great and wonderful. And it's good because they like going over to Russia and meeting up with relatives and friends and all that type of stuff, you know, because they miss them a lot when they're over here. And I've got some kegs to drink, but I thought it's just too much hassle because the problem is this table here is where I'll set up the beer dispenser, and I'm going to use my Gulu. That's the next one because I'm sick of working about with these silly cartridges and all this kind of bollocks. So I'm using my Gulu when I start doing the next couple of ones. So I brought that up from Devon. So I'll do that, and I might even do, because what I was planning to do is I will be in August going to the Peterborough Festival. I think I mentioned it in another video, but I've confirmed to my sister and John Morris that I'm going to be there to annoy them and spoil their evening, you know. And I was thinking, while I've got the Gulu up here and the wife's away and that, I might maybe just do a little beer, brew a little beer for it, and you know, bottle it and take it. Oh, I'm always taking it. Oh, can't I stop No, but no, I'll take it down for that, so as it gives us a wee kind of starter or a wee nightcap kind of beer, whatever. I'm trying to think what type I'll do, but I'll think I'll do a wee kind of special beer for that, brew that, and I'll maybe review it on the channel as well. But I do have a couple of kegs, and it just makes it easier because if I put it in there, then I don't have to keep moving it about, because the wife eats her breakfast there and she gets very she's very protective of her space, you know. If you encroach onto her area of the table, then all hell breaks loose, you know what I mean? Seriously, you're the devil incarnate, you know what I mean? Yeah, she's a touchy soul. I'll miss her when she goes, trust me, I will. I don't think I've got a rifle that can shoot that far. But anyway, so yes, that means I can get them kegs done and I don't have to keep pissing about or moving it about after the reviews. I can leave it there and I can also enjoy it, because obviously I'll crack it open obviously to do the review, but I've obviously got to drink it before I can change it and things like that. But one of the great things about the Igulu is I can control the carbonation a lot better. I can really pinpoint the temperature and everything else. And one of the great things, it works with the big kind of SodaStream CO2 cartridges, which is really good, because it means that you're not working about with these little small ones and running out. So you've got a lot bigger cartridge and things like that, and I can actually see the pressure on it and everything else, because it's got a little kind of gauge. So it's a far better machine, and obviously I can brew in it. So I'll do a kind of like I said, I'll do a beer for the festival just to take down so we can enjoy that. So I will review it, and I'll maybe get some feedback from the people who will try it down there, and I'll be honest and tell you that's the feedback is wonderful, and they really enjoyed it, even if they did. Right, shall we break down these flavours? Right. We got a nice kind of level of caramel malt. You maybe getting slightly, it almost feels like it's 2 levels of caramel malt, and then you're just getting a little touch of toffee. So that is quite malty, and I can basically distinguish kind of 3 kind of main malt flavours. You're getting a bit of grain, but not that much. But you're also getting quite a decent level of sweetness. I'm not saying it's overly sweet, but there is a good level of sweetness there, which isn't so bad, because it matches up with that really nice kind of multi-layered, malty flavour you're getting at the front of the mouth. Moves on to the mid-tongue, and again, everything just kind of moves over. It kind of stays the same. It doesn't really kind of reduce or dissipate in any way. So the intensity is all kind of the same as the front of the mouth. What you do get is when the floralness starts to come in, when it comes in around about the kind of middle of the mid-tongue. And yeah, it's just a kind of a general kind of floralness that you're getting, a kind of a hoppy floralness you're getting. I mean, you're not getting a kind of a more rosy or that type of stuff. You just get a kind of a slightly kind of general kind of hoppy floralness. But obviously as that's coming through, it just takes the sweetness down a little bit, and obviously kind of slightly balances out the malt, so it doesn't become, you know, so malt forward. It just starts to become a little bit more kind of balanced. And while that's kind of starting to balance out in the mid-tongue with the floralness, you just start to get little accents of bitterness, just little accents which are going along with this kind of hoppy floralness, which then kind of builds up to give you a little bit more of a kind of bitterness at the back of the mid-tongue as it moves over to the back of the mouth and the aftertaste. And it kind of crosses over, so that bitterness kind of crosses over. So I'm not saying it's a huge, you know, amount of bitterness, but it's an okay level. It's a decent level of bitterness. But what it does is it kind of transcends between the back of the mid-tongue and into the back of the mouth and the aftertaste. Flavours tend to kind of dissipate fairly quickly. So it's quite a clean finish, nothing really lingers, but I would probably say one of the last 2 kind of flavours that you kind of get is the bitterness and the sweetness. That's the 2 kind of flavours that are kind of the last ones to kind of dissipate. And overall, it's actually a very nice beer, and there's a nice kind of balance to it and some really nice flavour tones. And I just don't understand why they call this a pale ale and then they make the bitter and it's just flavourless amber ale territory, I think. What's that about? What is that about? It's just nuts. No, I'm actually really quite enjoying this. I'm sitting in a spot, and it's what I'd expect from a bitter. So it has that kind of profile, flavour profile. So I don't know what's going on with Harvey's. I think they're an absolute all over the place. They're kind of mixed up. I don't know how that's a pale ale. I don't know. I mean, it's not even a strong pale ale or anything like that type of stuff, and no. But anyway, what would I give this out of 10? Well, to be totally honest, I actually quite like it. Again, for me, it's not a pale ale. Other people want to argue whatever, that's fine, but for me, that's got more of a flavour profile of, well, it looks feels and tastes like a bitter. So there you go. I've got to be honest. Excuse me. So what would I give it out of 10? Well, if I was reviewing it as a pale ale, well, probably wouldn't get much in my book. But I'm going to review it as the beer that it is. And it's more up my street because, like I say, it's more like a bitter than a pale ale. I don't mind a pale ale, but I'd rather have a bitter than a pale ale. And I'm glad this is more like a bitter than a pale ale. And on that basis, I'm going to score it for what it is. And yeah, it's a beer that's more like a bitter. And it's actually very nice and very enjoyable. So I'm going to give it a 7. Yeah. It could have maybe even got a 7.5, but they are quite pricey. They're about £3 a bottle. So they're quite pricey. So they are. So on that basis, I'm not going to go crazy. But yeah. But for that price, I'd say a 7 is probably a good honest score for it. So yeah, it's a 7 out of 10. It's not really a pale ale, it's a bitter. And so far, that's the best that I've had out of the beers that I've ordered from Harvey's. Like I say, I've got a dark mild to do and a porter still to do. I think that's the last of them. But so far that's winning. And yeah, very enjoyable. And I'll be totally honest, out of the ones I've had so far, that would be the one I would buy again. And if I did see it in cask, yeah, I'd probably make a beeline for it to try it because I think it'd be really nice in cask. So anyway, it's 5.5%, it's 500ml, it's roughly about £3 a bottle. Delivery is fairly cheap. It's a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Cheers. And bye for now. Jesus, I'm absolutely sweating here. It's really humid right now and these lights aren't helping. I'm sweating like a dog with two